In May 2013, New Zealander Graham Zimmerman and American Mark Allen made the first ascent of the northeast buttress of Mount Lawrence off the southwest fork of the Lacuna Glacier.
Well, the Lacuna Glacier, interestingly enough, we discovered means the missing link. Yeah, it's a very kind of a forgotten glacier, and I think specifically because it's really overshadowed by Mount Foraker and Denali. The Kailtna is where most people know when they go climb Denali, the West Buttress route. This is actually just one glacial system to the west and comes off of Foraker.
The two alpinists discovered the peak in 2011 whilst on another expedition in the area where they completed the first ascent of Mount Voyager.
You know, we're standing on top of Voyager Peak, it's super pretty, we're very excited, and we look to the south and there's this gorgeous face that is on this significant mountain that we've never heard of, and we're both pretty familiar with the Alaskan Range, and it's, you know, pretty rare that you're looking out and you're like, what is that? You know, nearly 5,000 foot face that looks really steep and impressive, and you just have no idea what it is. And so we came back and we spent a bunch of time researching it.
When we first discovered the peak from the summit of Mount Voyager, we were looking on the map and like, what is this? We had a hard time finding it on the map because the peak hadn't been surveyed, it didn't have an elevation. And then it turned out that our pilot, this guy Paul Roderick, he's like, yeah, I flew this fellow Thomas Bubendorf into the Yetna Glacier, which is what sits on the west face of Mount Lawrence. Bubendorfer had made the first ascent of the west face, and so that's when we found out that it had been climbed once and that it had a name.
The pair were flown into the range and began what became a tricky mission to make it to the foot of Mount Lawrence.
So we each had packs and sleds, and to get them down from the landing strip to the valley and then up to base camp, you know, we couldn't ski with them. So we kind of came up with this inventive game of ghost riding the sleds. We just sort of, you know, it's kind of like curling. We'd sort of line up the sled and just cast it off down to the glacier and then go pick it up, and hopefully it wouldn't fall into a crevasse.
And then it only fell in a crevasse.
Only
one time.
Yeah.
that was on the way out.
Once their base camp had been established, Mark and Graham set about finding the best way to climb the mountain.
Cool, I am on purple, gray, and I'm climbing.
We made 2 attempts on a direct east pillar that we failed on both attempts after about 1,500 feet of climbing due to just very dangerous climbing conditions. It wasn't until our 3rd attempt that we actually made the first ascent of the northeast buttress of the peak.
Yeah, buddy.
And the climbing was fabulous. Sustained, beautiful combination of hard mix climbing, ice climbing, and really challenging snow and cornice climbing.
The area in which Graham and Mark were is a relatively untapped source of climbing in the alpine world, with very few recorded ascents having been made there. Their route was not only a journey into the unknown, but also lay many miles from any form of human contact.
Here we are, another sweet bivvy. More good views outside.
So that remoteness and the lack of people, is that the toughest part of the whole thing?
You know, I think it's something that we always think about when we're out there in terms of the decisions we're making, but I don't think it's the most challenging part by any means. I think that dealing with the unknowns.
And do you think that now you guys have been and explored it a bit, it will inspire other climbers to go and check it out?
I think it's not unreasonable that folks will go back there and try some of the other objectives that are back in this area, and I think that'll be really cool. It's really fun to be able to pioneer new areas and then present opportunities to other people. It's a really fun process.
I think people really like that sense of adventure and are looking for that in climbing. Yeah, it's a unique place for sure.
Summit of Mount Lawrence, 10,040 feet. We're the second group of people to ever stand here. First ascent of the northeast buttress of Mastodon.
Super psyched.
Mega.
Oh, and Nina, we also have a little bit of granola next to the note.
Very, very good.
Look, like there's much margin for error.